bidder bids and is successful, yes, you can proceed and award the contract. But in the event the best evaluated bidder does not succeed, that's why as the authority, the new innovations, the new developments, is that you must shortlist at least 6 providers. The minimum of 6 providers under request for quotation. Remember, you have a shortlist, you request for quotation. Have a shortlist of at least 3 providers under request for quotation, 6 providers under request for quotation, and 3 under micro. Now, in the event that one bidder, the best rated bidder, fails to submit a requirement, for example, the best rated bidder, the requirement for submitting a performance security, and if they don't, within the required timelines, they have the liberty to cancel that procurement contract and award to the second best rated bidder. It's provided from the law. We have also come up with penalties where you deliberately fail to award the best rated bidder. It's an offense. It's punishable. The law provides for the punishment that's meted upon the entity. Because it was a practice that when the entity didn't want a particular BEB, they would just wait until their bid validity expires. Then you have no bid. You cancel that procurement and probably start afresh. We saw that happen in our administrative reviews, because by law it's a requirement that you extend your bid validity if the timelines are not friendly. Like you find that the procurement process is going to be undertaken, but the timelines, what they are not awarding the contract, the bid must be valid. Before it was a requirement that the entity will request the bidder to extend their bid validity. But the law was revised that the bidder at his own initiative can extend his bid validity. You have the powers to extend the validity of your bid when it's about to expire. That's what it's now given. So the entities that were waiting for the bid to expire, then there's no offer by that time, and therefore don't award the contract. It's now an offense in the first place, and also it deters the participation of providers, one or the other. Supply diversity promotes social impact. Studies show that inclusion of underrepresented groups, including women, youth, and persons with disabilities, helps reduce inequality, and that women-owned businesses tend to reinvest up to 90% of their income back into families and communities. That shared growth, 90% of the income received by the women enterprises goes back to the family and communities. Unlike 35% of women or men-owned businesses. The question is why the women and why does their money go? I'm not saying that you should not award contracts to the women, but that is it. That is the survey. 90% of their income. Even then, I have a friend who told me that for him, they are not buying. He focuses on school fees, transport, rent. So the woman has to hustle and takes care of the domestic needs. Since they are married, that was the principle now. So it's not saying that you leave the responsibility to the women. That's him. But just to share about some families how to do certain things. Yes, the women incomes. Sometimes I'm married to a woman. I need money, and sometimes I find that the money has been misused. Then I say, hey, the 500,000 that was here is not there. Then Madame asked me, where do you think it actually goes? There I keep quiet, I don't ask any questions. Because it remains within the family. How we are looking at participation of providers. Now, the visibility gap, that's what I was trying to say, that who are you, who are these? Is it a visibility gap that you are not seeing, you are not being engaged? Where is the problem? I take charge of audits in the local governments, but you realize that in the procurement process, you receive, on average, of 1.5 to 2 bids. Irrespective of value. It's a very big problem. We don't know why. I've always recommended that a council should investigate the causes of low bidder participation. But the causes are many. But what is it that cannot be improved upon to ensure that bidders participate? Some of the reasons are saying that their budgets are low. You see now in government we have donor-funded projects and also GOU. You find that donor-funded projects are highly competitive because of the value. The bidders tend to cost highly and they are awarded projects. Whereas GOU, we are limited. We are limited by our budgets. If it comes to local governments, they say now, if you have around 100 million for toilets, it comes in the budget because you know each toilet will cost 30 million and then you restrict it to 12 sub-counties. And the council is saying, no, we can actually construct a toilet at 15 million. And therefore this money should be distributed to different sub-counties. Now, the bidder said, at 15 million I can't construct a toilet. And therefore, those that bid, they do substantial work, of course. And those who can't, who feel the money is little, will not actually participate. Because some of those providers actually do business with donor-funded projects. They bid for donor-funded projects. So at the end of the day, the bidder participation is actually minimized because of various circumstances. And it's a big problem in the local governments, which you need to address. Sometimes they look at indicative planning figures and they rely on exactly that. Nothing more, nothing less, because other options may not be available. So, sometimes the visibility comes up because there are undisclosed opportunities. In central government, it's very many, but local governments, some projects are not disclosed, and therefore visibility becomes a problem. Some people think it's a mindset change that to do business with government, you must know someone. So, based on that mindset change, they don't even attempt to try. Because you think, unless you know somebody, you know Dan Mugula, you cannot try NSSF unless you know him. I don't know whether it's the case with NSSF. But some leaders have that kind of perception, which may not necessarily be true to some entities, but may be true to other entities. Because you know what entities are the same, they actually value. So we find that there's a gap where participation becomes a problem of the provider. Sometimes others give up, they bid and end up giving up. One of the reasons that you claim to be what you are actually not. Such that you want this project, they say experience. You say, I've worked here, I've worked there, I've worked there. When due diligence is undertaken, they see that you have not actually done work in those places. And therefore the contract is not awarded to you. They are claiming to be what you are actually not. When I was starting the business one time,